Hi there, I'm Woolly Wormhead and welcome to my channel. I'm a knit designer specialising in knitted technique, construction and hat design. In today's tutorial, I'd like to show you how to knit backwards in garter stitch and also how to work German short rows backwards. Now, if you're not familiar with my work, I tend to use a lot of sideways construction in hats, but I also particularly love working with short row colour work. In fact, I have recently published a best-selling book all about short row colour work. It's a technique book that tells you everything you need to know about short row colour work. Now, because it's colour work that's created entirely by short rows, there's a lot of turning. And being able to knit backwards saves you so much time. And it's all garter stitch, so you don't have to worry about knitting extra stitches. And the technique that I recommend for making the short row colour work is German short rows, because they are easy to work and they're quick. They're also really easy to knit across, to graft and to knit backwards. So it saves you time. Now, these are some examples of some new designs that I have that will be published in autumn, September, October 2025 time. And these are some of the effects that you can create with short rows. There's another one here. Whoop, focus, thank you. Look at the way those patterns are. And it's all done by the short rows. It's the short rows that are creating the pattern. The yarn comes along to play, but it's the short rows that are doing all the work. So I'm going to switch to the overhead and I'm going to show you how you can knit backwards. I have one of the new designs actually on the needles now, almost finished, ready to show you. I'll demonstrate on that, and you can have a practice at knitting garter stitch backwards and knitting your German short rows backwards, as well as knitting across them backwards. All right. Okay, so here I have on my needles a short row colourwork design that will be published in September, October 2025 sometime. It doesn't have a name yet. If you're watching this at some point in the future, it will have a name and it'll be available on the website, and hopefully I'll update the links and you'll be able to find it. However, that aside, I'm going to show you how we are going to work a German short row backwards and how to knit backwards and how to knit across a German short row backwards. Now, one thing that I will mention at this point, and it's quite an important piece of information, German short rows are the recommended short row method for short row colour work. They are easy to knit, they're easy to make, they're quick, etc., etc., and they blend into garter stitch really nicely. They are also based on a knit stitch. Now, a lot of patterns, a lot of designers write their instructions to include the German short row. I don't. One, because I think it's really important for you to know which is going to be the stitch that's short rowed and which is the rest of the project. So if you need to make adjustments, you can do. And also, if you want to swap out and use a different short row method, then you can, because in my patterns, it would say K27 short row. Now, if you're going to do a wrap and turn, you would then do a wrap and turn on the 28th stitch. If you're going to do a German short row, then you knit the 28th stitch and you turn that into a double leg stitch. Really important to remember that. That's the way that I write my patterns, so they're more flexible. But also, a short rowed stitch technically has no height. And in short row colour work, maintaining the balance of your fabric is really, really important. I can't really go into length now. It's actually kind of a major chapter in the book. It's something I talk about a lot when I give lectures and workshops on this technique. But if you do not put your short row in the right place, like if you put it on the end of the instruction rather than knitting the extra stitch, you will cause your fabric to become unbalanced. That means it's going to distort, and you put unintentional shaping in, which you want to avoid because you want to make these beautiful colour work patterns. All right. So the short row stitch is separate from the rest of the knitting instructions. So in this example that I have here, I've knitted across and I'm going to make this the short row stitch. So I'm going to knit it. And at this point, I would, if you're working regular turning, you would turn, pull your yarn over, make a double leg stitch. So we're not going to do it that way. We're going to slip it across and we're going to pull the yarn over the top, and then we just made our German short row. Now, to knit a knit stitch backwards, or to work a knit stitch backwards, we have to kind of do the complete opposite of what we would do when we're knitting a stitch regularly. And so it feels a little bit counterintuitive and it takes a little bit of practice. But it's actually, once you get into the rhythm of it, Much, much simpler to do. Yarn stays at the front. Okay, so instead of it being at the back when you knit, you actually have to have it at the front. And you put your needle into the stitch from behind and underneath. So you pull it up. Let's make sure we don't split the yarn there. There we go. We put it up like that and we wrap the yarn anti-clockwise and then we slip it off the needle. Let me show you that again. Underneath, into the stitch. Looks a bit like that. Wrap the yarn anti-clockwise and slip it off. The slipping off motion is part lift this needle up and lift this one down. It's a complete opposite of what you would normally do when you're knitting. But that's the point, you're knitting backwards. And then we come off. Now, the next stitch we have here is a German short row. If you're familiar with German short rows, you'll know that because it's a double leg stitch, from the wrong side, it looks like 2 stitches. When you are working short row colour work, you've got short rows everywhere. It's fabric made entirely of short rows. So there's going to be short rows on the right side and short rows on the wrong side. And there will obviously be no doubt other projects where you have short rows on the right side and wrong side of your work. And it's really important to note that the wrong side of a German short row looks like 2 stitches, and to kind of like keep a feel, and you can feel on your knitting that little kind of knobbly bit there. That's where the German short row is. That's how all the double leg is created. And then when you get to that point, you've got to make sure you knit these together so you don't accidentally increase any stitches, because you don't want to do that. And this is the only part of knitting backwards that feels a little bit awkward, because you've got to put your needle in, same as we did the knit stitches, underneath from behind, but you've got to get it in between the double leg of the stitch. Let me just bring this around here and show you this. And sometimes if you need to use your fingers to give it a helping hand, that's okay. And so you can see what I've done there, I've gone into both the legs, and there's the top of the double leg stitch. That's the little knobbly bit that was on the other side, and the needle has gone through between both legs. In fact, it looks like I've caught a little bit of the yarn there. Yep, so I've split the little bit of the yarn. Let's do that again to make sure that when it comes off, there we go, that's better, because the yarn split when I put the needle in. You do need nice pointy tips to be able to do lots of short row colour work, but sometimes it does mean that you kind of go into the yarn, which you don't want to do. And then you wrap it anti-clockwise, same as you would do the knit stitch when you're knitting backwards, and you have to take great care to make sure that when you slip it off, you slip it off between both legs. And there you've worked across your German short row backwards. And I'm going to knit another stitch, and I'm going to go back the other way. So now we slip this over. Handy tip to make a nice tight German short row, I always put my needle tip into the next stitch ready. It anchors the needle, which means that I can pull that nice and tight. And then we go across. And I'm going to knit across this other German short row that I made here, because this is what it looks like from the front. So when you're knitting it backwards, you're still doing exactly the same thing. You're just putting the needle in from behind. You've got to make sure that that leg, that pair of legs are split and the needle goes in between them. And I'm going to put a German short row here, and we're going to work it backwards again, just so I can demonstrate one more time. So put it over. Put the needle in behind the stitch, wrap it anti-clockwise. Again. If you've just heard that, that's my dog barking, because I don't know, there's something going on. Just made me jump. So if you didn't hear that, the reason why I jumped is because my dog started barking. We keep going across like that. And if you need to make another short row, then you either just slip it over and pull your double leg, or if you want to work across another short row, because there's another one there. Let's get to that. And again, you might need to loosen it up a little bit, or there's nothing wrong with using your fingers to help your stitches behave, especially on a tight German short row. So we've just gone in between the legs there, Mix it around backwards and taking great care to slip it off. And then we go. I hope that was helpful in showing you how you can knit your stitches backwards in garter stitch, how you can work a German short row backwards, and how you can knit across a German short row backwards. It's new, it's a little bit fiddly, especially kind of knitting across the double leg stitch. You have to take care not to split the yarn. And take your time with it, and it doesn't help to try and encourage your stitches long until you get into the swing of doing it. It does take a little bit of practice, but it's worthwhile doing, because when you're working something like short row colour work, there's lots of turning, and it's much better on your shoulders and your wrists if you're not constantly turning all the time. It's an ergonomic thing. If you can knit backwards, it saves you lots and lots of time. If you're interested in these patterns that I've shown you today, I'm recording this at the beginning of May 2025. They are due to be published autumn 2025 sometime. They will be going out for preview knitting over the summer. If you are interested in preview knitting them, then please join my newsletter, which is called the Woolly Hat Society, and you can find the information about that on my website. All calls for preview knits, same as all discounts and things that I offer, all go out to members of my newsletter only. It's like a special club. It's called Woolly Hat Society. So there will be information going out soon-ish about preview knits for those. And people that are selected for preview knitting will get a chance to knit one of the hats. And if you complete it, then you also get a copy of the ebook. You're not looking to test. You're not looking for mistakes. You will be getting a fully edited pattern. You just get an early access to the pattern to see how it works. All right. So yeah, do that on the newsletter. If you can do the YouTube thing of liking, subscribing, following, sharing, etc., that'd be much appreciated. I have a lot of techniques that I'm looking to share, and I want to grow my channel because I've been in this industry for 20 years. I've been knitting for 51 years. I have a lot to share, and I would love to get more techniques out to knitters. And it's not just about hats. I cover lots of different things. So yeah, your support is much appreciated. Until next time, have fun with your stitches.